Miami of Ohio has produced 13 big league pitchers, most notably Charlie Leibrandt, as well as Bill Doran, Adam Eaton, and Tim Naring via the draft. But it's Sam-Backman who should become their first ever first-round pick. After working at 91 to 94 miles an hour for much of his first 2 college seasons, Backman now sits at 94, 97, hits 101 with plenty of arm side run and sink. His slider also has gained more power, operating in the mid-80s with nastier bite, and destroys left-handers and right-handers alike. His deceptive heavy changeup in the mid-80s gives him at least a solid third offering. Backman averaged 4.1 walks per 9 innings during his first 2 college seasons, but is providing more consistent strikes after improving his conditioning and athleticism during the layoff. He does come with some reliever risk because he's 6'1" with a short arm action and a low 3/4 arm slot. He did miss 2 early season starts with a tired arm. He's strong and competitive, however, and should remain a starter if his upgraded control and command are for real.
Let's join us now, and they're in the mix to be first-round picks. Sam-Backman of Miami, Ohio, at the Combine. Guys, first and foremost, welcome. This is really cool. I see that you're not actually on the field pitching or anything like that today, but both of you are doing interviews, conducting interviews. So, Sam, I'll start with you. How are those interviews going? Are each one a different experience or sort of cookie cutter?
Yeah, they're all kind of sort of the same questions, but, you know, for teams, it's all about building that relationship and, you know, going forward with that and just making sure they have a good feel of who you are as a person. I think that's a
What do they want to know from in terms of you on the field, the way you pitch? What do they want to know from you?
You know, just what kind of mentality I bring to the field, you know, what type of teammate I'm going to be. Am I to myself? Am I a vocal leader? You know, stuff like that I think is really important. So they're trying to dive into that sort of thing.
Do they ask you guys
to the game? Like, a lot of guys are throwing hard. It's just kind of the mental thing where you can bridge the gap and really make it to the major leagues and, you know, stay there. So,
Sam, I'm wondering, because you've got an arm that you touch 100 miles an hour, and you're 6'1", 235. Some people are wondering, well, if he gets to the big leagues quickly, it'd be as a reliever. Did you bring up starter-reliever combo in your conversations with the front offices?
Yeah, it's, you know, it's one of the questions that they ask, and honestly, like, whatever I can do to, you know, make an impact on the team, I think is the best thing for it, whether that's starting as a reliever and, you know, maybe getting a starting role right away, I think is kind of the goal there. So it's been a question, and I'm down for both. I think it's a challenge. That
You're down for both. That's good. That's good to hear. Sam-Backman of Miami, Ohio.
With the 9th pick of the 2021 MLB Draft, the Los Angeles Angels select Sam-Backman, a right-handed pitcher from Miami University.
He was the last one to pitch for a summer league team in the least important games. And on this night, he's the 9th overall.
Yeah, I'm definitely, you know, the biggest competitor. And, you know, when there's a guy on the box, like, you know, the one goal is to literally defeat him. And I know when I'm 0-2, like, it's over for that guy. And definitely the best teammate. I love getting hyped up for other people's success as well as, you know, my own. So I think it's contagious for a lot of guys in the locker room and on the field. And I think that's kind of what I do.
Ky-Bush is a huge left-hander at 6'6", 240 pounds with a solid power repertoire. He's been 90 to 96 miles per hour with his fastball, sitting mostly around 94, with a better feel for commanding it than he had shown early in his college career. It's heavy and there's deception, making it tough to pick up. His slider is his best secondary offering, a breaking ball that flashes plus and has more top-to-bottom break than a typical slider. Though that has some curveball action to it, he does have a distinct slower curve that isn't as good of a weapon. Bush's changeup is a work in progress, but he hasn't needed it in competition thus far. The southpaw had struggled with command at both Washington State and Central Arizona, but he's been throwing more strikes at St. Mary's. There are some who still see a reliever profile, but other scouts feel the delivery can continue to be refined to give him starter upside.
And Ky-Bush transferred around a couple times in college, but at 6'6", 240 pounds, he led the Gales in wins and strikeouts this year, 5th most Ks in a single season in program history. They're swing and miss, and I'm sure the Angels love the size too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a little bit of reliever risk because he's had some command issues in the past, but took a big step forward. We were hearing his name as a potential first rounder, even though from a slightly smaller program at St. Mary's, because he was throwing a lot more strikes this year. Fastball up to 96. He's got an above average slider. He'll even fold in a curveball. He's got some feel for a change. I think the command is what's going to determine whether or not he starts long term or is in a bullpen. If I'm the Angels, I send him out as a starter, and you know you can shorten him up. Everything's going to tick upwards.
First.
Landon Marceaux was one of the more advanced high school arms in the 2018 high school class, but he had a fringy fastball and lacked projection, so teams weren't willing to pay him enough to divert him from a Louisiana State commitment. 3 years later, he still exudes pitchability and lacks wild velocity, but this time around he should go around the 3rd or 4th round. The scouting report on Marceaux is pretty much the same as it was in high school, with his best pitch still a solid upper 70s curveball with downer break. He's added a tick or two of velocity to his fastball, which sits around 90 to 92 miles an hour, touches 94, and plays up because of some running action and his ability to command it. He also has a low 80s slider that sometimes is more effective than his curve, and a fading changeup with similar velocity. Student of the game, Marceaux understands how to tunnel sequences pitches to keep hitters off balance. He pounds the strike zone by repeating his low effort delivery and employs a high 3/4 arm slot to overcome his lack of size and create downhill playing on his pitches. He's a high floor prospect with a good chance to become a number 4 or 5 starter, and perhaps more than that if he can find some more velocity. A rare third-year freshman, Luke Murphy blew out his elbow after senior season in high school and redshirted at Vanderbilt in 2019 while recovering from Tommy John surgery. He issued 9 walks in 2 innings during the shortened 2020 season before emerging as one of the Commodores' top relievers this spring. Murphy's fastball sat around 90 miles an hour in high school, but now ranges from 93 to 96 and peaks at 99 with riding action up in the zone. His power curveball operates in the low 80s, could be a plus pitch at its best, but can flatten out when he overthrows it. He also uses a mid-80s changeup with some fade and sink against left-handers, though he has trouble throwing it for strikes. Murphy utilizes his 6'5" frame and high 3/4 arm slot to stay on top of his curveball and create plane on his pitches. He has the athleticism to throw more strikes, but he's just fringy control and can get into trouble when he doesn't locate his offerings where he wants. He's likely limited to a bullpen role, but could be a high leverage option at the next level if he develops more consistently.